purpose of this webinar really is to introduce you to the North East Public Sector Mentoring Scheme, and just to give you a little bit of a briefing, some ideas about how the scheme operates, so that gives you information that will help you to make a decision as to whether you want to be involved or not. So we've got a fairly brief presentation, and then there'll be an opportunity for you to ask questions. And as Kakun has said, there's also the opportunity to ask questions either in writing, or you can put your hand up, I think, and we can connect you for real into the meeting. So the scheme is run through North East Partners, and you can see some of those on your screen at the moment. It's been going for about close on to 6 years now, and the main partners are those that are listed there. So Aberdeenshire Council, ourselves here, with our fellow councils in Aberdeen City, and Moray Council has also recently come into the fold, although their logo isn't on that particular page. Also Police, Fire and Rescue, NHS Grampian, and our colleagues in the university sector at RGU, as well as third sector partners, Aberdeen Council for Voluntary Organisations, and the Aberdeenshire Training Initiative, which is also involved. So quite a broad section of organisations, and together we meet to coordinate quite a range of different kinds of learning and development opportunities, of which the mentoring scheme is one. And you may have seen other programmes at different points over the last wee while, and probably will continue to see that. The aims of the scheme are to create a development opportunity that will improve individual work performance of mentors and mentees. So part of what we're trying to do here is to improve the capacity and the skills throughout the public sector in the north of Scotland. So whether you operate as a mentor or a mentee, there are opportunities for learning, and we think there's transferability of skills and approaches from the mentoring scheme back into the organisations. So it's not just about the one-to-one relationship, although that's clearly critical. So part of what will happen there is it increases the mentoring capacity within all the organisations, not just across. And the third point is to create an opportunity that will support joint working within the North East public sector. We think joint working is a good thing per se. In this time of public sector reform, having a mechanism for joint working is proving more and more important and necessary, and hence the flourishing of quite a lot of the training programs that I've mentioned a minute or two ago. So in terms of the benefits of the scheme, we think it provides opportunities for sharing best practice and experience. One of the things that people often say about the mentoring scheme is that it's really good to have the opportunity to talk to someone who is outside their own organisation. Not just because that provides a kind of sense of safety and confidentiality, and a space to talk that feels free, but also because people from different organisations bring different perspectives to the mentoring relationship. Another key benefit of the mentoring scheme, we think, is it's developing you as you are now in your current job, work, career position, and helping you to think about what kind of future you might want in your career and job. So it's development for now and for the future. The coordinated approach that we've taken has been very beneficial in that we've been able to match mentors to mentees based on the in-house knowledge that each of us has about the mentee and what their needs are and the mentor's needs. And we think that's kind of helped to increase the chance of mutual beneficial match. We really do try and make sure that the information you provide us with in your application form matches the mentor that you're eventually allocated to. And the other thing we think happens with the mentoring scheme is that organisations benefit over time from the increased mentoring capacity. you think about it, if you operate as a mentee or a mentor, there are clearly skills and abilities that you can bring back into your workplace. So very specifically, benefits of becoming a mentor, and we do need some additional mentor capacity. So you might be sitting out there thinking, well, I'm really wanting to be a mentee, but becoming a mentor is also something that you might want to think about. Maybe not this year, and maybe once you've been a mentee, you might want to think about that, and we certainly would encourage people who have been through the mentoring experience to become mentors. This idea of a feel-good factor, people report to us that they feel really good about having helped someone else in their job and their career and with the issues that come up for them. Clearly it has the potential, if we're working across organisations, to improve contacts, to have greater networks. It's a piece of self-development for you as an individual. It helps you as a mentor develop new perspectives as well as help the other person with that new perspective issue. And it's continuous learning. It's something that if you have a CPD requirement, you can add that into your CPD hours, but more crucial than that, it's about helping you become better at what you do in the day-to-day. In terms of mentor qualities, what we look for in mentors are people who are committed to their own personal development. Usually people who are more committed to their own development are more open and are better at helping others with their own development. And some experience of collaborative working is also usually looked for, given that part of the purpose of the mentoring scheme is to improve collaboration across the public sector. The ability to motivate self and others to achieve, we think is very important. It's very difficult to motivate other people if you're not good at motivating yourself, so we seek that in mentors so that they can use that approach and orientation to help other folk. The ability to demonstrate high-level personal performance, so people who are striving hard to be good at their job usually provide better support to others who are similarly trying to do the same. Another quality, there's quite a number of qualities here for mentor, I hope this isn't putting you off, but the ability to influence and interpret strategy. So this ability to be involved when the organisation that you're working in is thinking about where it's going and how it's going to get there, and also the ability to think about what that means, because very often people coming to mentoring are seeking help with strategy in some form or other that they are having to implement. We're looking for people who are effective at communication, have good communication skills, listening skills, particularly in the one-to-one setting, and someone who's experienced at being a leader or manager in their own context. And the ability to challenge the mentee in their thinking and the ideas that they've got, because often one of the things that comes up during mentoring is that people are looking for new ways of perceiving their own situation, and they're looking for challenge, I think, in how to improve their performance. Here's some quotes from previous participants. You can read through those yourself. I think they're quite interesting in terms of how people have perceived their mentoring experience. And the words that jump out from a couple of those is this word boost. It's the idea of just kind of giving a bit of a nudge or a real energy thrust to where you are currently to move you into a better future. So if you're interested in becoming a mentor, we do have more of a focus this time round on mentees, but as I said, we are looking for additional mentors, and we'll be happy to accept additional applications. And the application forms are available from ourselves. I think you've got links certainly the links are on the poster that's been around the place. And if you get stuck for that kind of information, we're happy to provide that. So if you're out there and you're thinking about becoming a mentee, here are some of the kind of things we think you need to think about. Are you really committed to your own personal development? because that, I think, lies at the heart of the mentoring relationship. It will involve you in putting some energy, not just into the one-to-one meetings, but in working towards the goals and actions that you agree as part of your mentoring relationship. So you're likely to be someone who's aspiring to be more effective in your current and future roles, and open to new thinking and willing to explore innovative approaches. Similar things to what we described, I think, for what we're looking for in mentors. So being open to support and challenge so that you can develop new thinking, develop new ideas about what to do in the future and how to go about things differently. And being willing to work with a mentor with your own organisation. We're unlikely to match you with somebody within your own organisation. Because we have such a broad range of mentors available, we really do try and make sure that you get someone from another organisation. So benefits of becoming a mentee, we think, are, and it's implied in some of what I've said earlier, drawing on your mentor's experience, and what you gain there as a confidential advisor to sound out your ideas. And again, because this person is not in your own organisation, I think people find, generally speaking, that they feel much more able to speak openly about their own organisation within an agreement that's confidential. I think another benefit, the big benefit really, is discussing alternative strategies and how these might be implemented. So highly developmental, the mentoring approach. Finding out about new networks and alternative sources of information. As a consequence of the mentor likely being much more experienced than yourself, having been around the block a few times, these are people who will be well connected particularly within their own organisation, but also probably across the public sector. Another benefit is getting fresh insight into your world of work from an external person. So the mentor observing what they're hearing from you, feeding that back so that you can hear it from a slightly different perspective or angle. And the idea of challenging your own accepted wisdom and mindset. So I think probably what you can see from these benefits are that there's quite a lot to do with changing the way in which you see the world and helping you to think about different ways of going about things. And here are some quotes from previous participants. The idea that for someone it was life-changing is quite humbling, I think. And I can now sleep at night. I think that's quite interesting, in that often people find mentoring at a time when they're perhaps looking for a different direction, or that they've got lots of issues that they're trying to deal with at work. The process: application forms are completed by both mentors and mentees. So we have slightly different application forms for each of these two processes. Training for mentors and briefing for mentees take place. And we haven't actually set these up yet for this year, but there will be information coming out about that in the near future. And Anne Williamson, who is part of this webinar, and I think you might have some information that you can feed in a wee while. I've missed the last couple of meetings about this. We match mentees and mentors. So when we get your application forms, we bring them to a meeting of the representatives from the various organisations, and we look at what you've put in your application form in terms of what your areas of interest are and what your needs are. And we try and match those as well as we possibly can against mentors on the list that we have available. If we find that we don't have a mentor match for you, we may not match you. We don't just match people for the sake of it. We try and make sure that there is a relevant fit between what the mentee is looking for and what the mentor can provide. That's why it's really helpful for us to have a wide range of mentors. The process thereafter would be that once you're matched, we'll let you know who you're matched with, we'll let the mentor know, and it's the mentor's responsibility to then get in touch with you and set up the initial meeting. And support and monitoring is available throughout the mentoring process through the North East Learning Collaborative Group. Generally speaking, though, what happens is that the mentoring relationship is set up, it goes, it reaches its natural conclusion, and you know, it ends. You can come back for more mentoring in the future if you really like what you get. What tends to happen is that people have a one-off mentoring experience. They may come back at some point years ahead, but they tend not to want something immediately afterwards. So timescales, obviously we're having this webinar at the moment. The closing date for applications is the 11th of April, and the matching will take place around the table as I described on the 30th of April. You'll hear about what the matching arrangements are very soon after that date. And then the initial meetings should happen within four to 6 weeks at the most in May and June. So we quite like folk to get cracking as soon as they can once the matching is done. And we usually have an ongoing CPD event for mentors around November time each year. So we'll be looking at that in the near future. And obviously we'll evaluate your experience of mentoring once you've actually been through it. Here are the local contacts. So we have folk in each organisation that are agreeable to be approached about any additional information about mentoring. If you need copies of the application forms and so on, they can give you the link. And the link's on this last page that you just saw flash in front of you there for a moment. But in Aberdeen City, you've got Amy McQuarrie and Aberdeenshire Council Anne Williamson, who's, as I said, involved in this webinar. The Scottish Fire and Rescue Service, it's Andrea Fraser, and Police Scotland, and that's Aileen Reid. NHS Grampian, Anne Ingalls is a contact person there, and at RGU it's Jenny Connon. ACVO, for those that do not know what that stands for, that's Aberdeen Council for Voluntary Organisations, and Alison Chandler is the contact person there, and Aberdeenshire Council for Voluntary Services is Lindsay Adam. So we're just about finished the webinar. This is the email address for all correspondence. Again, that address is on the poster that you've probably seen. You may already have that address, but it might be worth just jotting that down in case you need to contact us following the webinar for anything. So I think what I'm going to do is stop there. I'm going to ask Anne Williamson, if she thinks there's anything that I've missed out or anything that she might want to add.
Hello Paul, hello everybody.
Hi,
on the webinar today. Thanks very much for the information, Paul. Yes, it's me that tends to look after the monitoring at aberdeenshire.gov.uk email address. If you send anything in to that, I check it quite regularly, especially at this time of year. And if you are wanting any of the application forms to be a mentor or a mentee, drop an email to that and I'll get back to you promptly and send back the forms and the guidance notes on that. And as Paul said, it's the information that we're asking from you all helps us to match you really accurately with a mentor that suits your needs. As Paul said, there will be separate briefing sessions for mentors and mentees, and there's 2 or 3 of the organisations involved are setting dates to hold those briefing sessions, and those dates will be sent out to everybody who's applying to be a mentor or a mentee as soon as we've got dates and venues booked on that. Each year we've normally got, I think, is it Paul, about 20 or 25 mentor pairs working across all the organisations. And
yes, Anne, I think that's about right. Yep.
And it's fairly steady, and it's really nice when we've had mentees who've had a very positive experience over their time. They come back and volunteer to be mentors in the future, and I think that's a really lovely way of keeping the program going. It's very successful, and if you are thinking about participating, I would encourage you to drop us a line and I'll send you out the application forms, and you can have a little think about what it is you're looking for from a mentor, or if you're looking to be a mentor, what it is that you can offer a mentee. And when we've got the matching meeting at the end of April, all that information helps us to try and put together really good matches, and it's usually fairly successful. Thanks very much, Paul.
Thank you very much, Anne. So what I'd like to do is just open it out and see if you've got any questions. Okay, so if there are no questions, that's very pleasing in many respects. It means the information is clear and that you've understood it, so we'll close the webinar now. Okay, folks, well, thank you very much for your participation this morning. Hopefully we'll see some applications from you. Please tell your colleagues and managers and spread the word. That would be very helpful. And if it's not the right thing for you at this time, maybe next time. So thank you very much for your participation, and goodbye.